Hello and welcome back to the Races Now YouTube channel. My name is Matt Hill and I'm joined once again by Adam Smith, our resident racing expert here on the channel. And today we're here to talk about a process known as handicapping. Now, in the UK, every year we have thousands of different racehorses wanting to enter a race. But how do we separate them? Well, Adam is going to tell us a little bit more about the handicapping system, which is used exclusively here in the UK and how it works. So, Adam, I guess the place to start is, what is a handicap? Can you explain it to us?
Yeah, well, a handicap would be for racing to try and level out the playing field and make it more competitive from a betting perspective. So if you think, for example, if I was racing against Usain Bolt, a handicap there, maybe I would start on 50 metres and Usain Bolt would start on 100 metres. That
I'd still be backing Usain.
Yeah, so that might make it a little bit more competitive. Well, in racing, we can't do that, so a staggered start as it would be. So all the horses start in the same position, but some of them carry more weight than others. So the ultimate aim of a handicapper or a handicap race is that all horses cross the line at the same time. Now, that never happens, but that's the aim. So to carry different weights levels out that playing field, makes it more competitive from a betting perspective. Because if myself and Usain Bolt were to run over 100 metres and both start at the same position and carry zero weight, Usain Bolt, from a betting perspective, would be 1 to 1,000, and I might be 100 to 1. Not very competitive or attractive as a betting proposition, so a handicap makes it better for betting.
Can you tell us a little bit about how that weight is carried? Because obviously you have the jockey's weight, but there's also things that can be put into the plate and the saddle, etc.
Yep, so each horse is given an official rating by the British handicapper, who gives a handicap mark to every horse, and there's thousands of horses in training. There's over 7,000 races a year in the UK. Many of those, maybe 5,000, will be handicaps. So it's usually at the lower level. So if you do it on divisions or compare it to football, there's 6 divisions in horse racing. Divisions 2 to 6 are mainly handicap races, and Division 1 is what we call an all-weight race, whereby horses will carry the same weight. So in the top quality races, horses, the best of the best, horses will carry the same weight generally, and that's what we call a pattern race. But all the other races, the vast majority of races in the UK, are handicaps, and like I say, they're given that mark centrally by the UK handicapper. So if you're given a mark of, say, 90, and you win a race, you might be put up a couple of pounds, or if you lose a race and finish out the back, you might come down a couple of pounds. So that should increase your chances of winning well or of going well next time. Now, you asked about the weight. The minimum weight a flat racing jockey can carry in the UK is 8 stone 2. And the minimum weight a jumps racing jockey can carry is 10 stone 2. So there's quite a difference there. Jump jockeys do tend to be bigger. But if you're weighing 8 stone 2 this morning and you're riding a horse that is carrying a total weight of, say, 8 stone 6, you'll get on the scales with your 8 stone 2, your body weight, and then they will put 4 pounds in the saddle for the horse to carry. If you're carrying more than that, you might be carrying 9 stone, then that's 12 pound they've got to put in the saddle, for example. So it's all about leveling the playing field and making it a more attractive betting proposition.
And I suppose one question that newbies may ask is, how do the handicappers actually make that assessment of how many pounds a horse will go up or down? Is there a exact science to it, or is it quite open to interpretation?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no exact science to it, and every race is assessed. And if you've got 20 runners in a race, that's a lot of horses to assess. So a handicapper generally would pick a median line in a race. So if there's 20 runners, and they will try and find a horse that ran to his handicap mark, that ran up to that standard. And then from there, everything, so say that horse is in 7th, everything that finished behind that horse that apparently ran to form will go down in the handicap, and everything that finished in front of that horse will go up in the handicap. That's how it kind of works. As a general rule, but very much, like you say, open to interpretation, as a general rule, if you was to win a race over a mile, for example, on the flat, if you was to win that by 1 length, then the handicap rise is usually around £3 for that 1 length. But there can be other things to take into account. You know, sometimes a horse gets to the front and then the jockey eases down and stops riding as vigorously to try and make it look like he's not won as well as he has. So they're trying to con the handicapper, if you like, or trying to get one up on the handicapper. But generally, if you win by a length, that would be in the region of £3 or £4. If you win by just a nose, then you might only get £1, for example.
And just finally, you touch on it there, plot jobs, I suppose we would call them sometimes, where horses and horse trainers will try and intentionally get their mark lowered so that they can win a race. Some people would say that's kind of illicit practice or not very fair. Where do you stand on that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, from a betting perspective, I don't particularly like it because I don't know about it until after it's happened and everyone's there celebrating what they call a handicap plot. But I see why it happens because the prize money in some of the low grade handicaps in the UK is very low. And the only way that the owners, via the trainers, can make money is by betting on the horse. Now, should they be performing below par purposely to get their handicap mark down? Absolutely not. And if you get caught doing that, there will be punishments for that. So, yeah, it's very much a grey area. But as in all sports and in all walks of life, people try and push the boundaries of the rules or what's wrong and right for their own benefit, and that's what happens in handicap races. Does it happen as much as it used to? Not really, particularly at the higher level. A class 2 is the highest level handicap you can get in the UK. And, it's safe to assume that at that level, with that better prize money on offer, that all the horses are trying, all the trainers are trying. And you could have a well-handicapped horse that's £10, that, the saying might be the £10 well in, which would mean that the horse is carrying £10 less than what his true ability actually deserves. But you can be £10 well in a Royal Ascot handicap and still not win, because it's so competitive nowadays. You've got horses coming over from Ireland, different trainers, horses coming from all over the world sometimes. So yeah, it's it might look nice and it might sound like a Robin Hood story from back in the day, but it doesn't happen that often anymore, to be fair.
Well, a complex business indeed, and that's just scratching the surface. If you do have any questions about handicapping, please feel free to put them in the comments below, and make sure you subscribe to Races Now for more horse racing content.